Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, we journey back to the year 1320, to a Benedictine monastery in the English countryside. The world outside these stone walls is changing, but here, time moves differently. Here, every hour is accounted for, every action prescribed, every word measured. You might think you understand silence. You might believe you know what it means to follow a routine. But the life of a medieval monk was something altogether different. Something that would test not just your body, but your very sense of self. So settle in, get comfortable, and let us walk together through 7 days that would challenge everything you know about daily life. The year's 1320. You are 23 years old, and you have just taken your vows. Your cell is small, perhaps 7 feet by 9 feet. The walls are bare stone, cold even in summer. Though it is autumn now, and the chill seems to seep from the very walls themselves. There is a narrow bed, though calling it a bed is generous. It is really just a wooden frame with a thin straw mattress. A wool blanket, rough and scratchy. A small pillow filled with straw that rustles whenever you move your head. There is one window, barely larger than your hand, set high in the wall. No glass, just wooden shutters. During the day, you can open them for light and air. At night, you close them against the cold. But even closed, you can feel the draft. Feel the autumn wind seeking out every gap in the wood. The only other furniture is a small wooden chest at the foot of your bed. Inside, one extra woolen robe, one pair of sandals for summer, thick woolen stockings for winter, a comb made of wood. Nothing else. These are all your possessions now. Everything you own in the world fits in that chest. There is no mirror. Vanity is discouraged. You will glimpse your reflection sometimes in still water, in polished brass. But you will grow accustomed to thinking of your face as something that simply doesn't matter. Your appearance is irrelevant here. The floor is bare stone, cold beneath your feet. In winter, ice sometimes forms in the corners of the room where moisture collects. You will learn to dress quickly, to never linger in removing your habit before bed. Let us speak about the habit itself, the clothing you wear. It is made of undyed wool, rough, heavy. The color is often a natural greyish-brown, though some orders dye their robes black. Yours is the natural color, with the characteristic hood and long wide sleeves. Beneath the robe, you wear a long tunic, also wool, also rough. No undergarments as you might think of them. The fabric chafes, especially when new, especially in summer, when sweat makes everything stick and rub. You will develop calluses on your neck, your wrists, anywhere the fabric folds and friction builds. The belt is a simple rope, tied at the waist. From it hangs a small knife for cutting parchment, quills, food, and a small pouch containing very little. Perhaps a few small stones you've collected, a piece of particularly smooth glass you found. These tiny treasures are permitted, as long as they don't become objects of excessive attachment. On your feet, sandals in warm weather, wooden clogs in winter. The clogs make a distinctive sound on the stone floors. Clop, clop, clop. You will learn to recognize your brothers by the rhythm of their walking. Some walk quickly, some slowly, Some favor 1 foot, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. It is night, your first night, and you are lying on your straw mattress, staring up into darkness. It is completely dark. Not the darkness of a modern room where electronic devices glow, where streetlights filter through curtains. This is absolute darkness. Medieval darkness. The kind where you cannot see your hand in front of your face. And it is silent. Almost silent. You can hear wind outside, the occasional creak of wood settling. Somewhere, water dripping. And in the cells nearby, your brother monks sleeping, or trying to sleep. You close your eyes, try to rest. You are exhausted from the day, from the ceremony, from the enormity of what you've done. You've given up everything, your family, your former life, any hope of the marriage, children, worldly success, all of it, surrendered. You try not to think about it, yes, try to embrace the peace you were promised, the spiritual fulfillment. But then a bell rings. You jerk awake. How long have you slept? It feels like mere minutes. But the bell is ringing. Loud, insistent. You fumble in the darkness for your robe. Pull it on. Your hands are clumsy with sleep. You step into your clogs. Open your door. In the corridor, other doors are opening. Shadows moving in the darkness. Your brothers also roused from sleep. No one speaks. Speaking is not permitted. Silence, you will learn, is not just a rule here. It is a way of being. You follow the line of monks shuffling through stone corridors. The only light comes from a few candles set in niches along the walls. The light flickers, cast moving shadows. You emerge into the church. The air here is even colder. Your breath makes small clouds. And thus begins vigils. The first prayer service of the day. It is 2 a.m. The church is vast. Vaulted ceilings disappear into shadow above. Massive stone columns. The smell of cold stone and old incense. You take your place in the choir stall. Hard wooden seats, arranged in rows facing each other across the center aisle. The wood is smooth from centuries of use, worn by countless monks before you, sitting exactly where you sit now. An old monk begins lighting additional candles. The light grows, but not by much. Just enough to see the faces of your brothers. Pale faces, tired eyes. Some of the older monks look almost serene, as if being awake at this hour is the most natural thing in the world. Some of the younger ones look as you feel, confused, exhausted. The abbot enters, a tall man, thin, with grey hair around his tonsure. He moves to his place, settles, closes his eyes for a moment. Then he begins. His voice rises in the darkness, chanting. Latin words, rising and falling in the ancient tones. Gregorian chant, they call it. It is hauntingly beautiful, hypnotic. The words echo off the stone walls, blend with each other, create harmonies that seem to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. You do not know the words yet. You will learn them. For now, you listen. Let the sound wash over you. Try to focus on the meaning, though you're not entirely sure what is being said. Your Latin is adequate, but not fluent. The other monks join in, their voices blend. High voices and low, young and old. The sound swells, fills the space. It is otherworldly. like something not quite of this earth. And standing there, swaying slightly with exhaustion, the cold seeping up through your clogs, you feel something, a kind of peace perhaps, or at least a distraction from your tiredness. The beauty of the sound, the shared experience of these men, all singing together. The service continues. Psalms are chanted. Antiphonally, one side of the choir, then the other, back and forth. Prayers are recited. There are moments of silence between sections, deep silence, where you can hear every small sound. Someone's breath, the flutter of candle flame, a cough, quickly suppressed. You learn, standing there, that time moves differently in the middle of the night. Minutes stretch. Your awareness becomes strange, hyper-focused on small details. The grain of wood beneath your fingers where you grip the choir stool. The way the candlelight reflects off the silver vessels on the altar. The smell. Incense, yes, but also old parchment, wool, unwashed bodies. Not unpleasant exactly, just human. Vigils lasts about an hour, but it feels both longer and shorter. Time has become elastic. When it ends, there is no dismissal as such. The abbot simply stops. Bows. The monks bow in return. File out silently. Back through the corridors, back to your cell. You close the door behind you. Strip off your robe in the darkness. Lie back down on your straw mattress. You have perhaps 2 more hours to sleep before the next bell rings. You close your eyes. Will yourself to sleep. But your mind is spinning, processing, the strangeness of it all. Being woken in the dead of night, the cold, the chanting, the absolute silence between services. Is this really your life now? Every night, waking at 2 a.m., every single night. Yes, every night, for the rest of your life. You finally drift off, an uneasy sleep, knowing another bell is coming soon. The bell rings again. You wake with a start. Still dark outside. Your body aches. You've barely slept. But you rise. Pull on your robe. Follow your brothers back to the church. This is Lord's. Sung at dawn, or rather, just before dawn. The church is still dark, but you can sense the approaching morning somehow. Perhaps the quality of the darkness has changed. Perhaps you're imagining it. More chanting, more psalms. Your legs ache from standing. You try to focus on the prayers, but exhaustion makes your mind wander. You think about breakfast. Surely there will be breakfast soon. But Lord's lasts about half an hour, and when it ends, there is barely a pause before prime begins. The first of the little hours. Shorter services, but still. You're still standing, still chanting. Finally, as prime concludes, the first hints of dawn are showing through the high windows. Grey light, thin and weak, but light nonetheless. Now surely you will eat. But no. First comes the morning work period. You will eat afterward. You file out with the other monks. The abbot gives assignments. Today you will work in the scriptorium, copying manuscripts. You feel a small relief. At least you'll be sitting. But first, you're directed to the necessarium, the latrine. This is worth describing, because it's not what you might expect. The necessarium is a separate building, connected to the monastery by a covered walkway. As you approach, you notice a sound: running water. The monastery has been built near a stream, and the stream has been carefully diverted. It runs beneath the necessarium. Inside, there is a long stone bench with multiple holes cut into it. No privacy screens, no doors, just holes in a bench in a row. You can sit next to your brothers, doing your business, while the stream flows beneath, carrying waste away. There is no paper. Instead, there are communal sponges on sticks, kept in a bucket of vinegar water. You share these with everyone else. This is perhaps the hardest thing to adjust to for many new monks. The complete lack of privacy, the intimate proximity of bodily functions. It seems designed to strip away pride, to remind you that you are merely flesh, no better than anyone else. You do what you must. Try not to think about it too much. The water running underneath makes a pleasant sound, almost peaceful. Afterward, you wash your hands in a basin, cold water, a block of soap made from ash and animal fat, harsh on the skin. Then, finally, you make your way to the scriptorium. The scriptorium is on the second floor of the cloister, a long room with windows along one wall. The windows face south to capture as much light as possible. They are narrow, with small panes of thick, imperfect glass. The light that comes through is watery, diffuse. But it is light. There are desks arranged along the windows, angled desks designed for writing. Each has a sloped surface, a small shelf for ink and quills, a place to rest your arm. An older monk, Brother Thomas, you learn, gestures you to a desk. He does not speak, of course. Communication happens through gestures. He shows you a manuscript that needs copying, a religious text, dense Latin, beautiful illuminations on some pages. He shows you the parchment you'll copy onto, scraped calfskin, stretched and prepared, expensive. You must not make mistakes. He shows you the quills, goose feathers, carefully cut and shaped. The inkwell, black ink, made from oak galls and iron salts. It smells metallic, slightly acidic. Then he leaves you to it. You sit. The desk is hard. The stool has no back. Your posture must be perfect, or you'll develop terrible pain. You dip the quill, let excess ink drain, bring it to the parchment, and you begin to write. The letters must be perfect. Uniform height, proper spacing. You work slowly, carefully. Form each letter with deliberate precision. After one line, your hand is already cramping. The quill is not like a modern pen. You must maintain constant, perfect pressure. Too light, and the ink doesn't flow. Too hard, and the quill splits, or the parchment tears. You continue, one letter at a time, one word, one line. Around you, other monks work in complete silence. The only sounds are breathing, the scratch of quills on parchment. Occasionally, someone shifts position. A stool creaks. The light from the windows is still dim. You must lean close to see what you're writing. Your eyes begin to strain. Your back begins to ache. You want to stretch, stand, walk around, but you don't. Everyone else remains seated, focused. You must do the same. You develop a rhythm, dip quill, Drain excess, right. Dip quill. Drain excess, right. The words are about virtue, about resisting temptation, about the glory of God. You try to contemplate their meaning as you write, but mostly you're focused on the physical act, the formation of letters, not making mistakes. Time passes. How much, you're not sure. There are no clocks. No way to measure the hours except by the position of the sun. And from inside the scriptorium, you can only see a small patch of sky. Your hand cramps more severely. You flex your fingers, trying to ease the pain. Some of the other monks wear special gloves with the fingertips cut off to keep their hands warm, but still allow precise writing. You don't have these yet. The cold is significant. Even though it's autumn, not winter, the scriptorium is unheated. Stone walls, stone floors. The only warmth comes from body heat. And sitting still, that's not much. You notice that some of the monks are wearing multiple layers, extra undershirts beneath their habits. You have only one layer. You shiver. Brother Thomas appears beside you, looks at your work. You brace yourself for criticism. He nods. Just once. Moves on. You feel a small surge of pride. Then immediately feel guilty for feeling proud. Pride is a sin. You're supposed to do this work for God's glory, not your own satisfaction. You continue writing. More time passes. Your back pain intensifies. You're holding tension in your shoulders. You try to relax, but the moment you lose focus, your letters become uneven. Finally, a bell rings. You nearly weep with relief. The other monks set down their quills, cap their inkwells, stand, stretch, silent still. But you can see the relief on faces. Everyone was in pain. Everyone was cold. You follow them out, down the stone stairs, across the cloister, to the refectory, the dining hall. At last, food. The refectory is a large hall with long wooden tables arranged in rows. Simple benches. At one end, a lectern. At the other, a slightly raised table where the abbot and senior monks sit. You file in, find a place at one of the tables. Sit and wait. A monk stands at the lectern, opens a book, begins to read aloud. In Latin, a sermon, a religious text. His voice echoes in the hall. Everyone listens, or appears to listen. You're so hungry you can barely focus on the words. Finally, after what feels like an age, the reading pauses. A prayer is said, and then food is served. A monk comes around with a large wooden bowl. He places before you a thick slice of bread. Dark bread, made from rye and barley. Dense, heavy. Another monk follows with a pitcher. Pours into your wooden cup weak ale, breakfast ale, small beer, with very little alcohol content. It's safer than water, which may carry disease. And that's it. That is breakfast. You stare at the bread and ale. Surely there's more coming. Porridge, eggs, cheese. But no. The monks around you are already eating. They break their bread into pieces. Dip it in the ale to soften it. Eat slowly. Deliberately, you do the same. The bread is not good. It's coarse, gritty. Bits of hull and grit from imperfect grinding. It's barely risen, dense as a stone. But it's food. You're hungry, you eat. The ale is thin, slightly sour, not particularly pleasant, but drinkable. You eat in silence. No one speaks. The only sound is chewing, swallowing, the occasional clink of a cup on the table. The monk at the lectern continues reading. Something about the virtue of fasting, the importance of controlling earthly desires. You finish your bread, drain your cup. Your stomach is no longer painfully empty, but you're not full, not satisfied, just less hungry. Is there more? Will someone come around with seconds? But no. The monks are standing. Breakfast is over. That was it. One slice of bread. One cup of small beer. That's breakfast in a medieval monastery. You stand with the others, file out. The reading continues until the last monk has left the hall. Outside in the cloister, you have a few minutes before the next service. Terce, the second of the little hours. Some monks walk the cloister, slowly, meditatively. Some stand in the courtyard, faces turned up to the pale autumn sun, seeking warmth, soaking up what little heat the morning provides. You join those standing in the sun. Close your eyes. Feel the weak sunlight on your face. Your stomach grumbles, protests the meager breakfast. You try to ignore it. This is your life now. Constant slight hunger, constant slight cold, constant awareness of physical discomfort. And the day has barely begun. The bell rings. Back to the church. Back to the choir stall. Hard wooden seat. Cold stones beneath your feet. Terce. The third hour. Mid-morning prayers. More psalms. More chanting. Perhaps 20 minutes. Your voice joins with the others. The Latin words flow out. Almost automatic. You're starting to memorize them. Starting to not need to think so hard about what comes next. Then back to work. Back to the scriptorium. Back to your desk, your quill, your parchment. More hours of writing. Your hand cramps. You shake it out. Flex your fingers. Keep going. The light changes as morning becomes midday. The sun moves across the sky. The angle of light through the windows shifts. You track time by this. By the movement of light across the scriptorium floor. Around midday, another bell. Sext. The 6th hour. Midday prayers. Everyone sets down their quills. Head to the church. The routine again. Stand in your stall. Chant. Pray. 15 or 20 minutes. Then, finally, lunch. Back to the refectory, more reading from the lectern. You're getting used to tuning it out. Background noise. Your attention is on the food being served. Today, a bowl of thick pottage. Vegetable stew, essentially. Cabbage, onions, turnips, barley. Cooked until everything is soft. No meat. Benedictine monks don't eat meat except when ill. Fish on special days, but most days, just vegetables and grain and another slice of bread. This one's slightly fresher than the breakfast bread. More ale. You eat slowly, savor it. The pottage is bland. A little salt, but no other seasoning. No pepper, no herbs. Just vegetables and grain and water, boiled together. But it's warm. It's filling. It's good enough. You clean your bowl with the last of your bread. Drink your ale. Already you're feeling better, warmer, more alert. After lunch, there's a brief rest period, an hour or so. Many of the older monks nap. You try to return to your cell, lie down on your straw mattress, but you can't sleep. Too much on your mind. The strangeness of all this. The silence. The structure. The complete lack of privacy or personal time. You lie there, staring at the ceiling, trying to pray, trying to find the peace you're supposed to feel. The bell rings. None. The 9th hour. Mid-afternoon prayers. Back to the church. Again. Always again. You're starting to feel it now. The relentlessness. 7 times a day, you go to the church. 7 times, you chant the same psalms, pray the same prayers, plus the work periods, the meals, the brief rest. Every day is the same. Will be the same. Forever. You knew this intellectually, but living it is different. Feeling the weight of that endless routine. The awareness that tomorrow will be exactly like today. And the day after. And the day after. Your former life seems very far away now. The freedom to wake when you wanted. To eat what you wanted. To speak whenever you felt like it. To own things. To have privacy. All of that is gone. You stand in the choir, stall, chant. Try to focus on the spiritual meaning, the purpose of all this. But mostly, you're just tired and a little bit hungry again. Already. After none, it's back to work. But not the scriptorium this time. Today, you're assigned to the kitchen. You follow Brother Martin, round-faced monk with gentle eyes. Still, no words are spoken. He gestures, shows you what to do. The kitchen is a separate building for fire safety. It's warmer here, much warmer. A large hearth dominates one wall with a fire burning constantly. Multiple pots hanging from chains over the flames. Brother Martin shows you to a large wooden table. On it, piles of vegetables, turnips, carrots, more cabbage, onions, leeks. He hands you a knife, points to the vegetables, mimes, chopping. You understand. You're to chop vegetables for tomorrow's meals. You begin. It's mindless work, repetitive. Chop, chop, chop. But it's also a relief. No need for precision. No worried about making mistakes that ruin expensive parchment. Just chop vegetables. The warmth from the fire is wonderful. After hours in the cold scriptorium, the heat feels luxurious. You can feel your fingers thawing, your muscles relaxing slightly. Other monks work around you, stirring pots, kneading bread dough for tomorrow, tending the fire. All in silence. The smell of cooking fills the air. Onions frying in fat. Bread baking. It makes your stomach growl. You chop turnips. The pile slowly grows. Your arm gets tired, but it's a different tiredness than writing. More satisfying somehow. You can see your progress. The pile of chopped vegetables growing. Brother Martin occasionally checks your work. Nods approval. Shows you how to make the pieces more uniform. You adjust your technique. Time passes more easily here. With the warmth and the activity and the smells, you almost feel content. Almost. But then the bell rings. Vespers. Evening prayers. You wash your hands in a basin. Dry them on a rough cloth. Follow the others to the church. Vespers is one of the longer services. Perhaps 40 minutes. More psalms. More prayers. The light coming through the windows is golden now. Afternoon fading into evening. Your voice is getting tired from all the chanting. Your throat feels rough. But you keep going. Everyone keeps going. As Vespers ends, you can see through the windows that the sun is setting. The sky is pink and orange, beautiful. You watch it for a moment as you file out of the church. Now comes supper. Back to the refectory. More reading. You're served. A bowl of the pottage you helped prepare today. Bread. Ale. You eat. The pottage tastes slightly different than lunch. Different vegetables, perhaps. Or maybe you're just noticing more details now. You're still hungry when you finish. There's never quite enough. But complaining, even thinking about complaining, seems wrong. Ungrateful. After supper, there's free time. An hour or so before Complina. The final service of the day. Free time. It sounds wonderful. A chance to do what you want. But what is there to do? Some monks return to the scriptorium, choosing to work more, to make more progress on their manuscripts. Some walk the cloister, praying, meditating. Some sit in their cells, reading. The monastery has a library, and monks are permitted to borrow books. Religious texts, mostly. Lives of saints. Theological treatises. You're too tired to read, too tired to work more. You walk the cloister. It's twilight now. The sky is deep blue. Stars are beginning to appear. The air is cold. You pull your robe tighter around yourself. You walk slowly. Watch your breath mist in the air. Try to pray. Try to feel the presence of God that you're supposed to feel here. But mostly you just feel tired and lonely. Even surrounded by dozens of brothers, you feel alone. The silence is isolating. The lack of human connection. You can't chat with anyone. Can't share your thoughts or feelings. Can't laugh. Can't commiserate. You're starting to understand what this life really is. It's not just about prayer and work. It's about erasing the self. About becoming so disciplined, so controlled, that your individual wants and needs disappear. You become just one part of a collective. One voice in the choir. One pair of hands doing assigned work. Is that peace? Is that holiness? You're not sure yet. The bell rings. Compline? The last service of the day. You're so tired now you can barely stand. But you make your way to the church. Take your place. Stand. Chant. Compline is relatively short. 20 minutes or so. The Psalms are about rest. About God's protection through the night. As the service ends, the abbot sprinkles holy water. A blessing for the night. The monks process out. But differently than during the day. Now no one returns to work. Everyone goes directly to their cells. The great silence has begun. From Compline until after morning prayers, absolutely no sound is permitted. No communication of any kind. If there's an emergency, you're to alert someone, but otherwise, silence. You return to your cell. The corridor is dark. Just a few candles in wall niches providing minimal light. You can barely see the faces of your brothers as they pass. In your cell, you close the door. The darkness is complete again. You remove your habit, hang it on a peg. Stand in your undertunic, shivering. You lie down on the straw mattress, pull the wool blanket over yourself. You're exhausted. Your body aches everywhere. Your hand cramps from writing. Your back hurts from poor posture. Your feet are cold. Your stomach is slightly empty. But you've survived day one. Tomorrow will be exactly the same. The same bells. The same prayers. The same work. The same meager meals. And the day after. And after. Forever. You close your eyes. Try to surrender to it. Try to find peace in the routine. Try to believe this is what God wants from you. But as you drift off, you can't help wondering, will you ever get used to this? Will it ever feel normal? Sleep comes, deep and dreamless, for a few hours, until the bell rings again. Day 2 begins exactly as day 1 ended. The bell at 2 a.m., the darkness, the cold, the shuffle to the church for vigils. But something is different. You're more tired than yesterday. The brief sleep wasn't enough. Your body hasn't recovered from the previous day's exertions. During vigils, you find yourself swaying on your feet, nearly falling asleep standing up. You jerk awake, heart pounding. Look around. No one seems to have noticed. But you're not the only one struggling. You see another young monk, also new, his head drooping, his eyes closing. An older monk reaches over, touches his arm gently, a reminder to stay awake. This is harder than you expected. Not just the work, not just the meager food, but the sleep deprivation, the constant interruptions. Your body never fully rests. Back to your cell after vigils. But you can't fall back asleep. You lie there, mind spinning, anxious about oversleeping, about missing the next bell. When it does ring, Lord's dawn prayers, you feel even worse than before. Groggy, disoriented. The day proceeds. The same routine. Work in the scriptorium. Your letters today are sloppier, less controlled. Your hand shakes with fatigue. Brother Thomas sees, frowns, gestures for you to slow down. Focus. You try. But concentration is difficult. Your eyes keep losing focus on the page. At lunch, the pottage tastes like nothing. You eat mechanically, barely registering the food. In the afternoon, you are assigned to the garden. The monastery garden is extensive. Vegetables for the kitchen, herbs for medicine, flowers for the altar, all tended by the monks. Today, you're to weed one of the vegetable beds. On your hands and knees, pulling weeds from around cabbages. The earth is cold, damp. Your knees get soaked and muddy. Your fingers grow numb. But there's something meditative about it. The simple, repetitive motion. Pull weeds. Toss them in a pile. Move to the next plant. Pull weeds. Toss. Move. Your mind empties. You stop thinking. Just work. Hours pass. The pile of weeds grows large. Your back aches from bending. But it's satisfying. Seeing the clean earth around the plants. Knowing you've done something useful. As evening approaches, as the light begins to fail, a bell rings. Vespers. You stand. Brush off your robe as best you can. Your hands are filthy. Your knees are soaked. But there's no time to change. You must go directly to the church. You stand in the choir stall, muddy and cold, chanting evening prayers. Your voice blends with the others. The Latin words roll out, familiar now. Day 3, day 4. The days blend together. You're assigned different tasks. One day, the scriptorium. Another day, the kitchen. Another, the garden. Another, cleaning, scrubbing stone floors with brushes and cold water, washing dishes in the scullery, mending robes, all in silence, all in service. You begin to recognize rhythms. The way light moves through the church. The specific sounds of different bells. The subtle differences between pottage on Monday versus pottage on Thursday. You learn to sleep deeply but briefly. To fall asleep instantly when you lie down. To wake at the bell without the groggy confusion. Your body adapts, somewhat. You learn which stones in the church floor are the coldest, where to stand to be slightly warmer, how to hold your body during long services to minimize pain. You learn the signs the monks use for necessary communication. A gesture, meaning pass the bread. Another meaning more water needed in the kitchen. Another, sick, need the infirmary. You learn to find small pleasures. The warmth of the kitchen fire, the taste of fresh bread, the pink light of dawn through the church windows, the song of birds in the garden. These tiny things become everything, because there is nothing else, no variety, no entertainment, no personal relationships as you once knew them. The other monks are your brothers, yes, but you don't know them. Not really. You know their faces, their walking rhythms, how they hold their quills. But their thoughts, their feelings, their histories, unknown. There is one monk you sometimes work near in the scriptorium. Young, like you, maybe 25. You catch his eye sometimes. See the same struggle there, the same fatigue, the same questions. Once, when no one is looking, he gives you a small smile. Just a momentary crack in the silent mask. It helps. To know someone else understands. But that's all. A smile. Then back to work. Back to silence. Day 5. 6. The week is nearly over. You're thinner now. You can feel it. Your belt needs to be tightened. Your hip bones protrude more. Everyone is thin here. Ascetic. Slight hunger is constant. Your hands are rough, calloused. Your knees are bruised from kneeling in the garden on stone church floors. Your feet ache constantly in the hard wooden clogs. But you're surviving. Day by day, hour by hour, bell by bell. Sunday is different, slightly. The work schedule is lighter. After morning prayers, instead of going to your assigned tasks, you're allowed to rest, to pray privately, to read. You return to your cell, sit on your bed. Try to decide what to do with this unexpected gift of time. You could sleep more. God knows you're tired enough. But something stops you. A feeling that you should use this time for something else. Something spiritual. You kneel beside your bed. Try to pray. At first, the words don't come. You've been praying all week, 7 times a day, every day. The prayers have become rote, automatic. Finding genuine feeling behind them is difficult, no. But you try. You close your eyes. Rest your forehead on your folded hands. Let your mind settle. And slowly, something does come. Not words exactly, but a feeling. A sense of something larger than yourself. The stone walls around you, The centuries of monks who've knelt in cells like this. The continuity of practice. The ritual. Maybe this is what they mean by holiness. Not a feeling of joy or ecstasy, but this quiet sense of connection, of being part of something that transcends individual experience. Or maybe you're just tired and your mind is creating meaning where there is none. You're not sure, but you stay there, kneeling, for a long time. Eventually, the bell rings. Terse. Sunday morning prayers. The church is different on Sundays. More candles, the best vestments, incense burning in the thurible. The service is longer, more elaborate. And at the end, something special. The abbot speaks. In the vernacular, not Latin, English. His voice is different when speaking versus chanting. More personal. He talks about the week past, the work done. He mentions Brother Peter's excellent progress on an illuminated manuscript, Brother John's careful tending of the herb garden, Brother William's diligent cleaning of the cloisters. He does not mention you, you're too new. But hearing him speak, hearing words directed to you, not just ancient liturgy, is affecting. You feel tears prick your eyes. You blink them away. He talks about virtue, about perseverance, about finding God in the small moments, in the routine, in the discipline. He talks about how difficult this life is, how it tests you, but how that difficulty is the point. It strips away the unnecessary, the distractions. It forces you to confront yourself, your weaknesses, your attachments. Only by releasing everything, he says, can you truly find peace. You listen. Try to believe it. Try to let go of your longing for your former life, your complaints about the cold, the hunger, the exhaustion. Try to accept that this is enough, that this is where you're meant to be. After the service, there's a better meal. Sunday dinner, pottage, yes, but with fish, small river fish, fried in butter, precious butter, rare fat. The richness coats your tongue. It's the best thing you've eaten all week. There's also cheese, hard, aged cheese, a small piece. And the bread is white bread, made from better flour, softer, sweeter. You eat slowly, savor every bite. This is what passes for a feast here. In the afternoon, you're allowed to walk outside the immediate monastery grounds. Many monks do this, walk in the nearby woods, the fields, still in silence, of course. But outside the walls, you walk with a group of others, down a muddy path, through bare autumn woods. The trees are mostly leafless now, the ground covered in fallen leaves, wet and rotting. It's cold, but the air is fresh, clean. You can smell earth and wood smoke from distant villages. You walk for perhaps an hour, see a stream burbling over rocks, see a deer pobder watching you from the trees, see the sky vast and grey above. It reminds you that there's a world beyond the monastery walls. People living ordinary lives, eating what they want, speaking freely, marrying, having children, pursuing personal goals. For a moment, you are overwhelmed with longing, with the desire to just keep walking, to leave this life behind, return to normalcy. But you don't. You turn back with the others, return to the monastery, to the bells and the silence and the routine. Because you made a vow. Because this is your life now. As evening comes, as Vespers is sung, you feel the weight of the week settle on you. 7 days, the hardest 7 days of your life. And tomorrow, it begins again. The same routine, the same challenges, week after week, month after month, year after year. Can you do this? Can you survive this? You're not sure. But tonight, after Compline, you lie in your cold cell, exhausted and hungry and lonely. You realize something. You've made it through 1 week, and that's something. And so we leave you here, dear listener, in your narrow cell, your straw mattress, your coarse wool blanket, 1 week into a life that will stretch ahead for decades. If you survive, if you adapt, if you find a way to make peace with the endless routine, the deprivation, the silence. Many don't. History tells us that monasteries had high turnover. New monks would arrive full of spiritual fervor. And within months, within weeks even, they would realize what they'd actually committed to, the grinding reality of it, and they would leave, break their vows, return to secular life. Those who stayed were exceptional in some way, particularly devout, or particularly suited to this kind of extreme discipline. Or perhaps they simply had nowhere else to go, no family to return to, no prospects. The life of a medieval monk was not romantic, not peaceful in the way we might imagine. It was a life of constant physical discomfort, of hunger, of cold, of sleep deprivation, of complete abnegation of personal will and desire. It was harder than working in the fields, harder than many forms of manual labor, because it wasn't just your body that was tested. It was your mind, your spirit, your very sense of self. The silence alone could break people. Humans are social creatures. We need connection, communication, the ability to share our thoughts and feelings. Living for years without casual conversation, without laughter, without the give and take of human interaction. It was a form of deprivation that affected people deeply. Add to that the physical privations, the constant slight hunger from meals that were barely adequate, the cold that seeped into your bones, the exhaustion from broken sleep, the pain of hours spent in uncomfortable positions, the lack of medical care when you got sick, and the repetition. The same prayers 7 times a day, the same psalms, the same work, day after day. No holidays, no breaks, no variety. Christmas and Easter brought slightly better food, longer services, but no fundamental change to the routine. This was the medieval monastic ideal. Strip away everything, deny the flesh, focus entirely on the spiritual, become less individual, more collective, less human, more divine. Did it work? Did monks achieve the enlightenment they sought? Some, perhaps. The ones who stuck it out for decades, who truly internalized the discipline, who found genuine peace in the routine, who experienced the divine in the silence. Or perhaps they simply became numb, adapted so completely that they no longer felt the hardship, no longer desired anything different. It's impossible to know. We can't reach back across 700 years and ask them, but we can imagine, as we've done tonight, We can put ourselves in their rough wool robes, feel the cold stone beneath our feet, hear the bells calling us to prayer in the middle of the night. And we can ask ourselves, would we last? Could we survive even 1 week? For most of us, the answer is probably no. We're too soft, too accustomed to comfort, to variety, to personal freedom. The idea of giving all that up, not for a week, not for a spiritual retreat, but forever, is almost incomprehensible, which makes those who did it all the more remarkable. Whether we admire their devotion or question their choices, we must acknowledge the extremity of what they endured. The medieval monk represents something we've largely lost in the modern world. A willingness to sacrifice everything for a spiritual ideal, to embrace suffering as a path to enlightenment, to subordinate the self entirely. Whether that's something we should aspire to, or something we're glad to have left behind, is a question each of us must answer for ourselves. But tonight, as you drift off to sleep, in your warm, comfortable bed, perhaps spare a thought for those monks, in their cold cells, their straw mattresses, their scratchy blankets, sleeping their brief interrupted sleep, waiting for the bell to ring. And we will leave you now with the sound of those monastery bells echoing across the centuries, calling the monks to prayer, marking the hours, structuring every day, telling time in a way that measured not progress or productivity, but devotion, discipline, the slow, steady march towards something beyond this life. Good night, dear listener. May your sleep be long and uninterrupted. May you wake when you choose, eat what you please, speak freely, and appreciate, perhaps just a little more, the simple freedoms we take for granted. The bells fade into silence. The monastery sleeps, as do you, until tomorrow, or in the monk's case, until 2 a.m., when the bell rings again.